Hi, my name is Mike Quinn, and this is the Ultimate Frontline Leadership Training Podcast. Today I'm going to be talking about the rule of threes and how this can simplify your decision-making process and how you review your employees, just how you perceive the information that's coming to you, because you're going to be getting a lot of stuff coming from a lot of different peoples every day, and you're going to need to know a simple way of ascertaining facts and differentiating between getting lied to and manipulated and the truth. So stay tuned. This is going to be a really simple, easy way to figure all this stuff out because it can get confusing. All right, the rule of threes are if something happens once, it's rare. It's a one-off thing. It doesn't mean anything. If it happens twice, that means that it's possible it's going to happen again, but it also could be just a coincidence. If something happens three times, there's a track record here, okay? Something is being established, and you might as well make that decision now, watch for more instances to come, just to reassure yourself that your analysis is correct, and that this three times is not just a coincidence. This is a track record for somebody, and this is how they are being perceived by you. So let's take something, let's just say somebody lies to you once. All right, people lie, happens all the time. You do it, I do it. Everybody kind of manipulates the truth a little bit, so things aren't so harsh sometimes. So if somebody lies to you once, they lied to you once. If they lied to you twice, it could be a coincidence. It doesn't necessarily mean this person's a liar, but keep your eyes open. And if it happens three times, okay, then there's a track record going on here. This person will lie to you over and over again. This person cannot really be trusted. So you're going to put them in less responsible areas, areas that aren't so integral to your success, because this person could quite possibly let you down. So that's how the rule of threes operates. One time, it's a one-off thing, doesn't really mean anything. If something happens twice, it's a coincidence, still doesn't mean anything. If it happens three times, chances are pretty good it's going to happen again and again and again, and this is the way the person operates. So now that you know this about that person, now you know where you can trust that person to go and where you don't want that person to go, and now your chances of success are increased because this person who's less reliable is now going to be put in less strategic areas, and they're going to cause less of a disruption in your unit. Now let's go for another example. If someone makes an excuse for poor performance once, okay, people, kind of justify their stuff sometimes, and it can happen. If they justify their stuff twice, it happens. People like to see themselves in a positive light. But if they do it three times and more, then this person cannot be trusted for responsible areas as well. Things that are critical in your unit. This person who suffers from poor performance and exaggerates their participation in it and tries to make them look better than it really was, this person, again, is less reliable, and so they're going to need to be put in less critical areas in your unit. Again, let's talk about, okay, somebody steals from you once. Well, people take pens and forks and straws and, different things every here and now and then. It's usually not that big of a deal. But if you notice them doing it once, okay, hopefully it's not an indication of, this is who they are as a person. If it happens twice, then now you're going to start to kind of see, hey, this could be an indication of who this person is. But it could be just a coincidence as well. And maybe you go for a long time and they don't steal anything again. And maybe that was just, just something convenient and easy and not that big of a deal. I don't know. It really depends on what's stolen as well. But if somebody steals from you three times, it really doesn't matter what they're stealing. They're going to steal. They're going to justify in their heads taking something is okay. And, if it doesn't belong to them and they take it, it's not okay. So this is somebody you're going to be trusting less in the future. So having a three-strike record for Judging your employees is really going to help you stay away from making snap judgments, because we don't want to make snap judgments. If somebody does something once, that does not mean that's who they are. There is just maybe some certain things going on in that situation that, and that person stumbled. Okay, great. There was some pressure. There was, who knows what was going on. But just doing something once doesn't mean that that person is that way. If they do something 3 times, then you know what? The chances are pretty good that's who they are. And you need to remove them from areas that, theft, like counting money or alcohol or different things. You're going to need to put them in less responsible areas just to protect yourself from even more theft. Now, on that 3rd strike, it's nice to have your first 2 strikes also in your notebook, because that little book is going to help you remember on what date and what specific circumstance was noted for that individual employee. So whip out your notebook, write a little note in there. Ted, stole a salt and pepper shaker, blah, 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 or whatever, on such and such a date. Then you notice he walks out with a glass, and he was gone for the day, so he's taking that glass with him. So write down that date, and they took that glass, etc. And then if you notice on a 3rd date something, the employee takes something, write that down, and now go to the formal write-up process and say, on date 1 you took this, on date 2 you took this, and today you took this. Stealing cannot be tolerated, blah blah blah. Write the person up, let them know that that this is happening and that it can't happen anymore. So if you use your notebook, this is going to help you with your first document, because it's documented in here twice. That 3rd strike is now their first document documenting 3 previous behaviors. So they're on notice saying, hey, you can't be doing this anymore. And there's proof, there's dates, times, etc. You're backing yourself up, and you're writing it up. So if it happens again in the future, you can write them up again for it and let them know, hey, this cannot happen anymore. 2 write-ups is bad. A 3rd write-up for the same offense in, say, a 90-day or 6-month period, whatever your company policy happens to be, 3 offenses of the same thing happen in a short period of time, can be grounds for termination. So if this person is somebody you really need to move on to a different place because they're holding you back in various areas, then this could help you remove that person from your crew. You want to do this very rarely, though. Everybody in your crew needs to know you have their back and that their job is safe with you. So you can't just go firing people all over the place because they didn't do this right or they didn't that right. It needs to be something important. It needs to be well documented, and there needs to be 3 strikes, 3 written strikes as well. So your first 3 in the book equals your first write-up in person, and that you're going to be delivering to the person. This is just for your own reference, so you're keeping track of who's doing what. The document on paper tells the employee that you know what they're doing, it's got to stop, it cannot continue. And then when you give this document as well, have another employee or another manager in the office as well, so it's not a he said, she said thing. They're your witness for you delivering that documentation. So, and 3 written documents, you can terminate the person if it's a serious enough offense and you really want to stop this from happening. You want to send a message to the rest of the crew because everybody knows that they're doing this and they're getting away with it. So they think that maybe they're going to get away with it as well. Whatever the reason for you needing to terminate somebody, this is how you do it. So the rule of 3s. 3 strikes in the book means I'm going to talk to you about it. 3 strikes in documentation means, possibly you're out of here. So people need to know that, some things are really serious. Stealing, lying, cheating, grabbing other people's food, doing things that make it really hard for your team to survive needs to be dealt with rigorously. All right. So if you have any other questions, your team is going to depend on you. They're going to know that, they got 3 strikes with you. And if they did the 2 strikes, they know that they're treading water right now and they got to really relax and focus on what needs to be done and the correct ways to do things. So the rule of 3s works great for this, okay? figuring out who your employees are, and for writing people up, rule of threes is great as well. For terminating people, rule of threes is very important. It shows a track record. If somebody wants to take you to the labor board for it, you've got evidence, you've got written documentation, you've got previous examples of this behavior, and telling them it has to stop, or further occurrences of this nature, including termination, can happen. And so if this all happens and you go to the labor board's going to side with you. They're not going to side with the person who's messing up all over the place and doesn't change their behavior. But it needs to be well documented, and your documentation needs to start right here in your book. It needs to start there so you'll know who your players are, what they do, what they don't do, etc. You'll have a good grasp of who your team is. And this book is also going to help you with performance reviews, because every year you're going to give them a performance review and let them know how they're doing. Hopefully every day you let them know how they're doing as well, so that at the end of the year it's not a big surprise. So always be coaching your crew all the time, every day, giving them positive reinforcement, telling them how great they're doing, let them know that their job is secure, but as well, let them know that, certain things cannot happen. You can't hit another employee, you can't bring a weapon to work. There are some things that, immediate termination is valid for. Those extremely serious things, getting drunk at work, harassing somebody sexually, some things need to stop right away. And putting it in your book here, talking to the person off to the side and letting them know that, hey, I'm not going to write things down now, but it is in my book. And if it happens again, I'm going to have to start documenting things, etc. So that rule of three is going to help you a lot. It's going to help you really understand who your people are, because you're not going to be waiting for a fourth, a fifth, or a sixth occurrence of the same thing. You're going to have it in your book. You're going to see it's happened 3 times. Okay, when it's on paper, you take for granted that it's true more often than if you just store these results in your head and you kind of, I think that was 3 times, or maybe it was 4. If you don't really know, it makes it hard to move forward on anything. But if it's written in your book, you got dates and you got items in your book and who it was. You know what? It's very hard to justify stuff in your head. Well, it's probably not going to happen. I don't really need to write them up, etc. Because the more times it lands in your book, the more it says to you, you really should have done something a while ago. So the rule of 3 is really important. It'll help you stay on track. It'll help you keep your crew under control and marching in the right direction, getting successes for the whole unit. All right? I hope you like this video, and I'll talk to you again next week.